Hello everyone, I'm Afaf Kanja and welcome to South News. We're very happy to have joining us today the Minister of Special Programs for Kenya, Ms. Esther Murugi Mathenge. Such an honor to meet you. Welcome to South News.
Pleasure, Afaf.
Yeah. Thank you. I know you've come here as Minister representing Kenya for the high-level meeting on HIV and AIDS here at the United Nations starting tomorrow. Where over 3,000 participants will be here at the UN. I wanted to ask you, before we delve into that, just give us sort of a brief understanding of the latest in terms of developments in Kenya. I believe that the prevalence of HIV actually topped in 2000 and luckily has decreased dramatically since then. So tell us some of the programs that Kenya has initiated and the work and progress that you've been seeing in the last decade or so.
Okay, thank you, Afaf. First of all, I must say I'm happy to be in New York when it's shining. Yeah. Mostly I come in winter, so I'm enjoying myself. In 1998, HIV and AIDS was declared a national disaster. So this meant that the government went all out to war. First of all, by creating awareness and ensuring that people who needed medication, the ARVs, as much as possible, we were able to reach them. And I think it's really the general awareness that has made the decline in the prevalence in HIV and AIDS. Because today, if you talk about HIV and AIDS, I think every Kenyan knows and is aware that there is a disease called HIV and AIDS. Yes.
Minister, let's talk about the children for a moment. I believe only 1 in 3 children who needs treatment is in fact receiving HIV treatment. So tell us what's being done to really focus on children in Kenya and helping them.
I would say in the last few years, the number of children who are actually on ARVs has increased. Unfortunately, most of the children who have HIV and AIDS, in most cases, will also be orphans. So it means they don't have a good nutrition. It means they don't have somebody to really ensure that they take their medication regularly. So that is one of the handicaps that we've had. But we've recently started a very good program, which we call the cash transfer program. And this aims to help the orphaned children by giving them a cash transfer every month, so that at least they can be able to meet their basic needs and even ensure that they go to school and they have their uniforms to go to school. And up to now, we've been able to reach over 300,000 girls and boys, and that is under 18 years old.
That's excellent news. That's very inspiring. Tell us a little bit about your work in terms of helping women, the empowerment of women, and of course, just overall basic health services for women and children.
What has happened in Kenya is we've realized that for the country on the overall to declare their health or to be a strong working nation, women have to be healthy. Because we know that women are the backbone of any country. I'm sure even in America, they are the backbone of this country. And so for us, health, especially maternal health, is very important to us. And what we have said is, like every woman who is giving birth, it is free of charge. If you are able to reach a government hospital, you go, you deliver your baby, and you go home. Unfortunately, in some parts of Kenya, we may not have health centers, so then it becomes a challenge for us. The other thing that we have done, especially in relation to HIV and AIDS, is to ensure that women get tested, and our statistics indicate that over 80% of especially expectant mothers or women who are about to give birth or pregnant know their status. And we feel that is a good progress, because then we have reduced I'm sorry, what do you call it? The child to mother, the passing of the mother to child. Yes. Yeah, we have reduced it quite a bit. So that I think is a plus, and we are working very hard on it to ensure that our women keep healthy.
Wonderful. And then, of course, there's a direct relation, unfortunately, when it comes to violence against women and AIDS, and just their overall domestic health and sort of their self-esteem, if you will, as well. So what are some of the programs? Enlighten us on some of the things that you've done in working with this particular population of women.
What we have, I used to work previously in the ministry that dealt with women and children. And what we realized is that most women who suffered gender-based violence were mostly because of poverty. So we created a fund, which is just to empower women economically so that they could have esteem, so that they could feel proud to be who they are, so that they could not be subjected to violence. What we have also done is in most of the government hospitals, we have opened gender-based violence centers so that if you are abused, you can just walk in there and you get free treatment. And they are working very, very well. And again, what we have also done is also to look for counseling or advocates who actually go and advocate for the rights of the women. So if you have been violated anywhere, you can go to court and somebody will take care of your legal costs.
So in terms of Kenya and achieving the Millennium Development Goals, which is something South News is a total advocate for and sort of bridging partnerships for and building awareness on. So tell us what Kenya is doing in terms of meeting the MDG goals, where its strength lies and where it may need some international assistance possibly.
Well, after the global financial crisis, we realized that most of the MDGs, we were not going to achieve them. So we have started looking for what we are calling homegrown solutions. And if I could just talk like on HIV and AIDS, what we realized is the budgeting for HIV and AIDS, we relied 87% on donors, and the only 13% came from the government exchequer. So what we have done in the last 6 months is to create a fund where the private sector has come in and is chipping in, so that we don't have to be over-reliant on the donors, because we are feeling that if we keep on relying on the donors, one day they wake up and they'll decide, hello, there is no money. Then what do we do? So we are working very hard to make sure that this fund, we build this fund up so that we stop being self-reliant on them. We shall still continue to be reliant on them, but not overly reliant on them. And I'm happy that the private sector have taken it very well. So in the next 3-5 years, I think we shall start achieving results that we expect to achieve.
That's very promising. And you know, and a further note on that, I'm curious to learn from you. In terms of a country's ownership, is a dialogue that's kind of taking place now in preparation for the HIV, the high-level meeting on AIDS. A country's ownership in terms of really doing what it can with its own resources to combat AIDS, but also talking with, in terms of South-South cooperation. I understand that India, for example, and China have really been just amazing in terms of delivering medicinal treatments, especially particularly India in this capacity. So how do you see South-South cooperation playing a role, or even just, you know, regional countries in Africa helping each other to combat the issue of AIDS?
I would say I think I look forward to it, and I can see it's going to work. For example, as we talk, Uganda has already set up an ARV manufacturing plant, and we are hoping that we can get into some kind of partnership, which means that the drugs will be at much cheaper than we can get them from anywhere else. And those are the kind of partnerships that we are really looking forward to. And again, the way we deal with our problems is a little bit different from the way the North looks at us. So if we can partner with South to South, I think that is where the solution lies.
I hope so. And then in terms of the outcome of the high-level meeting on AIDS, and of course the declaration that's expected to come out of this meeting, what does Kenya need to see come out of this high-level meeting and the declaration?
One of the things that we want to come out is if any country has made a commitment on funding, they must honor that commitment. Then we have also realized that there are the new infections that are actually coming from what we call most at-risk populations, and we must be able to address them, whatever our beliefs are. And I think that is going to be a very thorny issue. But these are things that we really need to address, because if we don't address them, then we'll not be able to say zero to HIV and AIDS. And I think that is where everybody wants to be in the next few years.
So I have to ask you, kind of gearing more toward a personal question here. I know you've seen some criticism on your stands with, for example, just those more high at-risk populations, right? The gay population, lesbian, etc. And you're an advocate for, regardless of the group, the point is to help these people, whether it's a child or whether it's an adult. How are you combating sort of maybe the more conservative takes on what you're trying to do?
What we have told people is you ignore them at your own risk. Because this, if you ignore, we are saying the gay and whoever else, they have their rights, and especially the right to health, and you cannot deny them that. And as you know, recently we passed our own constitution, and it gives everybody a right to health. And it does not say who, but every Kenyan has a right to health, regardless of your sexual affiliation. So for me, it is not about what your sexual affiliation is, it is about your access to health.
Minister, on that note, I have to ask you, what is your greatest challenge in doing this amazing and intense work that you do in Kenya?
I think my biggest challenge is just for people to make people open up and appreciate that even if you say these are the people at risk, you cannot ignore them, you have to embrace them, and you have to treat them like everybody else who has a right to health. But the biggest challenge is the financing, is the funding, because we have to fund people, we have to fund the medication, and unfortunately HIV and AIDS attacks the people who we need in our economy, 15 to about 50. So those are the people we need. So if we have to achieve we have a vision we call Vision 2030. Mm-hmm. For us to achieve Vision 2030, we have to ensure that we eliminate HIV and AIDS. Otherwise, the country cannot grow economically or socially. Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here, and good luck in your participation at the UN and at this high-level meeting.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, and come to Kenya.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us here on South South News. I'm Afaf Kanja. We'll see you soon.